to that dollar. Getting that cheese, that chicken, that guala. Movado on wrist, baby, don't trip. This that Dolce Gabbana. Hey, this is that trip out to Italy. Hey, that vibe when you sip on that Hennessy. This is that feeling you get when your whole team is rich and you buy your own embassy. Bust down in that drop top. No, I don't dance, don't pop lock. Niggas crazy thinking money changed me. If you owe me, pay me, you rise clap. Yo, what it do? It's your boy NewFutureFlash. You already know you tuned in to TMG Reacts and trying to get back on a comedy kick. You know what I mean? I haven't done comedy in a little while. George Carlin. What's more to say? The man's crazy. He be dropping gems and he be pissing people off. So that sounds like a recipe for something for me to like. But like, comment, subscribe, ding that bell, hit me up on Instagram. You already know we're trying to get this channel to 100K. Thanks to all you guys who rocking with me and supporting. But let's go. Turn this on. And this is called Soft Language.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse. I'll give you an example of that. There's a condition in combat. Most people know about it. It's when a fighting person's nervous system has been stressed to its absolute peak and maximum, can't take any more input. The nervous system has either snapped or is about to snap. In the First World War, that condition was called shell shock. Simple, honest, direct language. 2 syllables, shell shock. PTSD. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. That was 70 years ago. Then a whole generation went by, and the Second World War came along, and the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. 4 syllables now. Takes a little longer to say. Doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock. Battle fatigue. Then we had the war in Korea in 1950. Madison Avenue was riding high by that time, and the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. Hey,
I didn't hear that
8
one.
syllables now. And the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's totally sterile now. Operational exhaustion. Sounds like something that might happen to your car. Then, of course, came the war in Vietnam, which has only been over for about 16 or 17 years. And thanks to the lies and deceit surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise that the very same condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables.
You know what's crazy? So I always say, like, comedians, they have their biggest finger on the pulse of, like, what's going on, because they're able to describe things in a way that is digestible. You know what I'm saying? But I think this came out like 14 years ago. This came out like 14 years ago, and people are literally out here in 2023, 2022 getting canceled over words. This is like, when you really go back and you listen to the old comedians and the stuff that they're saying, it's like you can tell, regardless of if they were being on drugs, regardless of how crazy their lifestyle was, like, they knew what was happening and they can see it. You know what I'm saying?
But we've added a hyphen. And the pain is completely buried under jargon. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll bet you if we'd have still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time. I'll bet you that.
It don't sound as bad, so you don't really.
But it didn't happen. And one of the reasons is because we were using that soft language, that language that takes the life out of life. And it is a function of time. It does keep getting worse. I'll give you another example. Sometime during my life, toilet paper became bathroom tissue. I wasn't notified of this. No one asked me if I agreed with it. It just happened. Toilet paper became bathroom tissue.
Right.
Sneakers became running shoes. False teeth became dental appliances. Medicine became medication. Information became directory assistance. The dump became the landfill. Car crashes became automobile accidents. Partly cloudy became partly sunny. Motels became motor lodges. House trailers became...
Dog. This is, you know why this is wild? Because, all right, so what people don't know about me, somebody asked me this in one of the comments. What don't people know about you? I am into conspiracy theories and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I jump down all the rabbit holes. I be in that joint for 2 months. Especially since I do music and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? So I got all caught up with like the Illuminati and the all of that stuff. So the symbology, they talk about language a lot, and they talk about how like is spelling, casting spells and all of that stuff. And so they know what they're doing, psychology. So it's like psychological warfare. And so what he's describing is like they're making things that are horrible things sound sweet. So it's digestible. You know what I'm saying? So you are like, oh, he just got PTSD. Like now it's part of language. You know what I'm saying? Like even when it comes to playing football, the football players and stuff like that, you don't really say what it is because it's harsh and people are going to definitely go, oh, that's wrong. You know what I mean? Like, so if you just be like, soften it, people just think it's normal and they just accept it.
Became mobile homes. Used cars became previously owned transportation. Room service became guest room dining. And constipation became occasional irregularity. When I was a little kid, if I got sick, they wanted me to go to the hospital and see the doctor. Now they want me to go to a health maintenance organization or a wellness center to consult a healthcare delivery professional. Poor people used to live in slums. Now the economically disadvantaged occupy substandard housing in the inner cities. And they're broke. They're broke. They don't have a negative cash flow position. They're fucking broke. Because a lot of them were fired. You know, fired. Management wanted to curtail redundancies in the human resources area, so many people are no longer viable members of the workforce. Smug, greedy, well-fed white people have invented a language to conceal their sins. It's as simple as that. The CIA doesn't kill anybody anymore. They neutralize people. Or they depopulate the area. The government doesn't lie. It engages in disinformation. The Pentagon...
Dog, that's crazy. What did he just say? He said depopulate the area when that's like genocide. Bro, that's crazy. The white people have created a language to hide their sins. Do you understand how this man is dope. This man is dope. And he's going on like the biggest platform saying this craziness. And it's like, you could tell like the crowd is laughing, but the stuff that he said, it makes you think too.
People have invented a language to conceal their sins. It's as simple as that. The CIA doesn't kill anybody anymore. They neutralize people. Or they depopulate the area. The government doesn't lie. It engages in disinformation. The Pentagon actually measures nuclear radiation in something they call sunshine units. Israeli murderers are called commandos. Arab commandos are called terrorists. Contra killers are called freedom fighters. Well, if crime fighters fight crime and firefighters fight fire, what do freedom fighters fight? They never mention that part of it to us, do they? Never mention that part of it.
Yeah. He's on 100.
And some of this stuff is just silly. We all know that. Like on the airlines, they say they want a pre-board. Well, what the hell is pre-board? What does that mean? To get on before you get on? They say they're going to pre-board those passengers in need of special assistance. Cripples! Simple, honest, direct language. There's no shame attached to the word cripple that I can find in any dictionary. No shame attached to it. In fact, it's a word used in Bible translations. Jesus healed the cripples. It doesn't take 7 words to describe that condition. But we don't have any cripples in this country anymore. We have the physically challenged. Is that a grotesque?
You know, I love because I speak harsh like that, bro. And it's like people who like aren't sensitive, you know what I'm saying? They could kind of speak the same language. And even though we're cracking jokes and stuff like that, like to somebody who's mad sensitive, they hear what we're talking about and they're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you said that." But yeah, he's so onto it. He's so onto it, and it's like I said, this was 14 years ago. So now it has gotten worse. And even when you go back and you watch like the old TV shows, like that '70s show, and those shows like that that came out all in that era, you know what I'm saying? They say so much stuff that they will never be allowed to say now. They would never be allowed to say now. You know what I'm saying? Even like the old Disney Channel was crazy. It was lit, like where the adults could listen to it and they'll get some of the jokes. And now it's all like, you know what I'm saying? Anyway, tangents.
Grotesque enough evasion for you? How about differently abled? I've heard them called that, differently abled. You can't even call these people handicapped anymore. They'll say, we're not handicapped, we're handy-capable. These poor people have been bullshitted by the system into believing that if you change the name of the condition, somehow you'll change the condition. Well, hey, cousin, doesn't happen. Doesn't happen. We have no more deaf people in this country, hearing impaired.
Right.
No one's blind anymore, partially sighted or visually impaired. We have no more stupid people. Everybody has a learning disorder. Or he's minimally exceptional. How would you like to be told that about your child? He's minimally exceptional. Oh, thank God for that. Psychologists actually have started calling ugly people those with severe appearance deficits.
Oh my God.
It's getting so bad that any day now I expect to hear a rape victim referred to as an unwilling sperm recipient.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have no more old people in this country. No more old people. We shipped them all away. And we brought in these senior citizens. Isn't that a typically American 20th century phrase? Bloodless, lifeless. No pulse in one of them. A senior citizen. But I've accepted that one. I've come to terms with it. I know it's here to stay. We'll never get rid of it. That's what they're going to be called, so I'll relax on that. But the one I do resist, the one I keep resisting, is when they look at an old guy and they'll say, look at him, Dan. He's 90 years young. Imagine the fear of aging that reveals. To not even be able to use the word old to describe someone, to have to use an antonym. And fear of aging is natural, it's universal, isn't it? We all have that. No one wants to get old, no one wants to die, but we do. So we bullshit ourselves. I started bullshitting myself when I got to my 40s. As soon as I was in my 40s, I'd look in the mirror and I'd say,
40s
well, I guess I'm getting older. Older sounds a little better than old, doesn't it? Sounds like it might even last a little longer. Bullshit, I'm getting old. And it's okay, because thanks to our fear of death in this country, I won't have to die. I'll pass away.
Yo, I hate that political correctness stuff. I hate all of that. Like, I wish they would make it like mandatory, especially like legally, because you know, on all contracts and stuff like that, they hide a lot of simple stuff in like pages and pages and pages of stuff. So you can't like read it yourself. You got to pay a lawyer, but really they saying some simple stuff. Like, I feel like they do that for one, so you have to pay a lawyer to go read it. For two, hoping you miss something so they can sneak some shit in there. But I feel like they shouldn't be allowed to do that. That's just stupid. Like, jargon is jargon. You know what I'm saying? But you making your jargon so complicated just to say simple. Like what he's saying. Like, you added 8 words to define crippled. You added 8 words to define mentally impaired. Now imagine how many damn words they're putting in like these legal contracts. You know what I'm saying?
Or I'll expire like a magazine subscription. If it happens in the hospital, they'll call it a terminal episode. The insurance company will refer to it as negative patient care outcome. And if it's the result of malpractice, they'll say it was a therapeutic misadventure. I'm telling you, some of this language makes me want to vomit. Well, maybe not vomit. Makes me want to engage in an involuntary personal protein spill. Thank you all.
Yeah, I like him a lot. Like the way he describes stuff is so on par, which is how society is. Like, bro, but like I was saying, if you go to a lot of the old people, like Patrice O'Neal, Bill Burr, even old Dave Chappelle, like when they're describing stuff, it's like decades in advance. You know what I'm saying? Like Patrice O'Neal was talking about like COVID stuff and monkeypox back 20 years ago. So it's real phenomenal. And then they had all of that, all these movements that we think are so new, like the feminist movement, the freaking red pill movement, all of that. Like they were talking about that back then. Like our parents, like, you know what I'm saying? Like nothing new under the sun. And we think that we just found something so dope. It like, bro, it's been here before. Like even on the news, right? They were like, oh, music nowadays, oh man, it's never been this vulgar, this bad, this, that, and the third. And I was like, bro, I remember when I was a kid, you know what I'm saying, Nas had Oochie Wally Wally, Oochie Bang Bang. Like, all of this stuff like this was all crazy. And it's just the fact that we're getting older and more mature, and we're seeing, like, the youth in an immature way. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like recycling. And what he's doing, he's talking about the language and stuff, bro. I'm curious to see how bad it gets, because people are getting demonetized. People are getting freaking like kicked off platforms just for words. No action, just words. So I'm really curious, you know what I'm saying, to see how bad it gets. But anyway, thank you guys for kicking it with me. You got some dope stuff for me to react to. Put it in the comments, some recommendations. It could be whatever. You know what I'm saying? As long as it's entertaining, you know what I'm saying? Let's get some comedy, some music, some any type of talent, you know what I mean? Or some conspiracy. I do want to get into some conspiracy stuff, but I know when I go down that rabbit hole, I know a lot of people will be like, you know what I'm saying, divided, you know what I'm saying? But it is what it is, bro. Let's get it.
What a shame to see me this way. You're so fine, can't look away. It's like I'm holding my tongue, I just hope I don't bite it. Why am I fighting? Is it cause I'm excited? Yeah.